Hi everyone, I found another heart-shaped picture that I thought would be fun to do as a sort of Valentine's-y type theme. This is from Johanna Basford's Lost Ocean. So here we go. We've got a lot of small tendrils of plants and little details, so I thought I would get a pencil that I felt could cope well with that. So I have picked my, oops, upside down, Staedtler Super Soft Design Journey pencils. Any Staedtlers you can use. You could use your Soft, you could use your Noris, anything. The problem with Noris is they don't have numbers on, so you would have to sort of guess the colours, but you might be okay with that. Or the other Design Journey pencils as well would work. But these are just the only Design Journey ones that I have. So I have been thinking to myself whether to do the whole thing or whether to just do half, because it's obviously a symmetrical design. And so once I've shown you half, you'll know how to do the other half. I've decided that I'm going to do all of it, but I'm going to put a poll on my YouTube, which I would have, because I'm recording this in advance, it's the 2nd of Feb, I'm going to put it up today, so it will be there, you would have already seen it, to see what you prefer, whether you prefer the whole thing or just half of it, or even just a few aspects or whatever. I will think of what to do when I set the poll up, but that's just for me to be interested in what your opinion is. I suspect there'll be mixed opinions, but anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus and start at the bottom here. So we're going to come in nice and close and do that. Let me just see how close we can get. I want to just keep the whole of this little bit in shot, so I think that's fine. Now in my Staedtler Design Journey pencils I have 4 greens, so we can do a few different leaf combos. Of course you can also make greens if you mix up blues and yellows, but we're just going to use the greens because it's a little bit easier. So this is number 5, which is a very dark green, and I'm going to use this for certain parts, and then I'm going to sort of use it for the outside in quite a defined intense layer, so there's not going to be any shading here, it's just going to be an outline. I want to sort of define the edges of the leaves as Johanna has drawn it. Johanna has been posting, which is quite exciting. She hadn't posted anything since Christmas really, and then suddenly she's posting us things from her new book. I don't know if you follow her on Instagram and Facebook, but the other day she posted some mushrooms. It's a little reel where she was inking them, and then today there was a whole page of mushrooms. Now it intrigued me. The mushrooms, there was more down the page than across, so it looks to me like it's going to be an A4 size book rather than a square book. When I say A4, I mean, you know, long and thin, not this long and thin, but she's had some books that sort of size before. I'm going to do these bits in this dark one too. Her How to Draw Inky Wonderlands, Ivy, and 30 Days of Creativity. They've all been in a different shape and size to this particular book that I'm doing now, so I suspect that's what is going to happen, which I find good. Sometimes having a page that's as big as this one can be a little bit daunting, so having a slightly smaller page I always find can be nice. Sometimes it depends what mood I'm in. Not always daunted by a big page, but you know, there we go. I'm going to do this one here too. So so that was rather exciting to see that sort of beginning to take shape, and her book being called Small Victories. Now her idea of small victories are little mini pictures. I don't think there are any in this book to show you. I suppose there's some pages with just lots of fish on, but I think what she means is a page like, hang on, I've got one here, a page rather like this one. Well, there's lots of little individual items. Obviously I really cheated on that one and just colour them in pen. Pen isn't always cheating, but it was on that day. I said that was my darkest green and I lied. I have a darker one. I'm going to use it now. This is the number 38, which is even darker. It's a really bluey green. It needs to sharpen, bear with me. But I'm just thinking it might work well for a couple of these. For this one here, because it's right on the outside. It's quite nice to do it dark, so it's sort of framing the rest of the page. Now I'm just doing a really intense layer. I'm doing any difference in colour. We'll do some in a minute, but I just want to get down some nice defined colour really. So I hope everyone's well today. I hope having a good day. I've done a fair bit already. It's what time is it? Can't see my clock. Is that 20 to 10? I think so. I did a few bits on my computer first thing, as I always do. I usually go on Instagram, things like that. And then you can see how this is a bit more bluey than this. I think it's rather pretty. I popped out, I went shopping yesterday, groceries, forgot to get any bananas, we only had 2. So the children had those for their breakfast. I usually have one as well, but I just had grapes, which was rather nice. And I usually have grapes and banana. I like to get my portions of fruit in first thing in the morning. It's sort of, I think it's healthier to have your sweet stuff first thing and then you're burning that sugar off rather than having it later in the day. Anyway, so I went off to the grocery shop. I shop at Waitrose. It's one of the most expensive grocery shops in England, for those of you who don't live here. But it's our local shop. I'm going to do this one as well, and I'm going to keep it dark again because I feel like this is a bit of a frame again. That's just the way I'm thinking. So yeah, I shop in there. My husband, fortunately for us, is doing well, and he likes their food. We don't really buy loads and loads and loads of stuff. You know, we barely buy clothes. We don't go on a holiday. This is through choice, it's not through suffering. We don't really have days out very often, so we indulge in food, you know. And so I popped there, and it's also a really nice shop, lovely atmosphere, very lovely staff who've known me since we moved here 20 odd years ago. They remember me before I had the children, through my pregnancy, children growing up, you know, it's really lovely. And went there. I indulged in a few extras because, as you do know, you never go to the grocery store and just buy the one thing you need. So I got there was a golden butternut squash. I've never seen them before, and it looked quite small. I wasn't sure whether it was going to be any good because I sort of thought to myself, is it going to be? I'm grabbing my number 50, giving it a sharpen, thinking, is it going to be just all seeds or is there going to be something to it? And I'm going to concentrate on these leaves at the bottom, and for these I'm going to try to make a more intense colour near where they're touching the other leaf, or near the bottom when it comes to these, and then lighten towards the tip. So I didn't know whether it would be all seeds and just a bit of a waste, but I like butternut squash, but they're usually so heavy and big, so these were quite small, so I thought I'd grab one of those. And I grabbed some Brussels sprouts. They haven't been particularly nice, they're sort of going out of season, but I saw some really nice looking ones, so I grabbed those. And I grabbed some Oatly cream because I can't have dairy. I don't normally have too many sort of processed food type things, but I want to try and make a creamy sauce. Now the best way I think to make a creamy sauce is to use coconut cream. I can't eat coconuts, or to soak cashew nuts. And I think I'm going to do this one here with this colour and using the same method, so darker at the bottom. And no, so I can't have so soaking cashew nuts and then blending them to a paste, like or using a nut butter, that's good as well. Can't do that. Obviously using dairy is brilliant. I can't eat dairy. I can't eat anything, can I? So so I thought I would try some Oatly cream and use that as a base for a sauce. So I thought with this squash and the sprouts, I could get some macaroni, add in some frozen peas, sweet corn, some white beans, cannellini beans or something like that, and flavour myself a sauce, maybe with some nutritional yeast, some stock cube or something, maybe some cumin, I wasn't quite sure, or I could make it, put some coriander in and make it a little bit more curry-like. I can't eat chilli, but I can do coriander, cumin, turmeric. So I was thinking about doing something like that, so I grabbed a few ingredients for that, which I'll do tomorrow. My one son thought, I told him I was thinking about making a sauce with some Oatly cream, and he went but so he can make his own. He's home tomorrow. He can make his own normal cheese sauce if he wants. He doesn't have to have mine. Anyway, so that was that. So I grabbed those, and I also grabbed a bag of lentil chips because they're nice. Now I'm thinking about our other colours. I think I'm going to go in here with this colour, and then on these use my other green, just to mix it up a bit. I think it's quite nice to have a mix of greens. Sometimes I find if I do a mishmash of greens, it can look a little bit messy, but I'm just going to do it today. So again with this one, I'm trying to keep it a little darker near the centre, near the sort of stalk stem, and then a bit lighter towards the edge. And so I walked along the canal in both directions. I need to put my jeans in the wash now because I had a very enthusiastic puppy jumping up on my legs twice. Despite being told off by the owner, it just didn't care. He jumped all over me. I mean, he should have really had it on a lead, but, you know, anyway, he wasn't really in control. But luckily, it was a little spaniel, so it wasn't going to do any harm. He was just excited, wanted to say hello. But I'm not a doggy person, so I'm not interested in saying hello to dogs, I'm afraid. Sorry to all those people that love their little dogs, but it's just not for me. I'm not an animal lover as such. I like looking and observing animals, but I don't like having them as pets. You know, I've got enough work with husband and children. Anyway, so I walked, came back and did some yoga. I finished my 7-day yoga class now. That was my last day today, so that was nice. And I'm going to try and keep it up. I've noticed in my app I'm going to do all the beginner classes. There's more beginner classes. So I'm using number 56 for my last ones. Again, I'm going to try and make it a little more intense near the centre. This is quite a pale colour, so it could be a little bit tricky. But I'm going to sort of put a few more layers here and then try and make a little less coming out to the edge. But if you can't really see a big difference in the colour, it doesn't matter. Just enjoy the process of colouring. Have fun with it. So yeah, it was quite an intense yoga. It was a 30-minute session. The others have all been 20. Putting together all the things we've learned over the last week. And yeah, it was, I can feel my core, which is good. And some of the balancing was a little bit, but I'm getting there. I'm going to get better. You know, and as I say, some of the beginners classes, there are some that are only 10 minutes, some that are longer. So I can sort of choose something that fits in with me. And I definitely find that having a walk first loosened me up and helped better, rather than doing it first thing in the morning, which I find doesn't really suit me. But because I'm a little bit too stiff. So it's been rather fun. And what I like is the chilled pace, the breathing, the relaxation. I've said previous video, I've never done yoga before. I was always a bit scared because it looked like you had to be mega flexible, and I mean the teacher is obviously mega flexible and I'm not, but because I'm doing it on my own, I don't feel self-conscious. no one's watching, it doesn't matter. And it's interesting because when you do a move that she says you might feel a bit self-conscious doing, she says shut your eyes and then you'll feel less self-conscious. Even though there's nobody there, it's not a class. And I think she just seemed very understanding, you know, which was nice, and giving you alternatives for beginners. So some of the moves have like 3 different positions depending on how flexible you are. And that works really well for me with my frozen shoulder. I'm not scared of over exerting myself. Okay, we've done that little bunch, which I think is rather cute. I hope you you like it. Now I'm going to do some of the grasses because we've got some sort of seagrass coming up here. Again, this is acting like a bit of a frame. I think I'm not going to use this really bluey green though. We're going to sort of use that for the bottom. We might use that maybe at the top. Sorry, you can't see what I'm pointing at. We might maybe balance it at the top with a few there. But I'm going to do these in the number 38. Is that the right one? Hang on. Just looking. No, I think I need the 5. Hang on. Yes, sorry, the number 5. So this is, the number 5 is the one we did this stem and the outside of these with. And I'm going to use that for these here. So I'm going to try to make them a little darker near the base and a little lighter towards the tip. But some of them go on for quite some distance, so it might not be that easy. I'm just going to do what I can, my best really. See how it works out. There we go. I think this is only the second time I've done this picture. It's which is rather fun. So I have completed one whole Lost Ocean book. I think I'm going to fill that in all the way down there. I feel like that might be coming out of there because, don't know, you may not agree. You do it how you feel seems to work. So again, I'm not doing very much too fancy. I'm just putting a little less as we go towards the end. If you can't do this and you find it really difficult to fade, don't worry, just keep it intense all the way. I think it'll look fine. It might even look better. But you just have to layer it up a bit, layer it up less, and just a touch there. It doesn't even show up that much because the Erga Softs aren't that intense anyway with regards to their colour. Oh, I can feel my my muscles just on my rib cage. It's interesting. So I've done up here. We're going to repeat the same over here. It's going to be quite tricky for me to keep my hands out of the way, but you know what you're doing, so you should just be able to follow. So my husband was still here when I was doing my yoga. He normally he's not here, or at the weekend I go and do it upstairs out of the way because the kids would only laugh at me, not in a nasty way, but it's a bit distracting if you're trying to balance or breathe and relax and someone's laughing at you. I showed them some of the poses, they laughed at me, that was fine, it was just a bit of fun, but not when I'm actually trying to do it properly. So I went upstairs, but he was still here. I'm getting ready for work. He doesn't leave that early. And he said, oh, you're doing really well. That's nice. But I said I think he might benefit from doing it. I think the sense of calm is really good, and that would help him. And I think he also could do with some help with his core strength. He's never had a particularly strong core. Where are we going? Ah, yeah. I was just a bit confused by this one. But I don't think, to be honest, I don't think he will. But he's nursing a back. at the moment still. It's a lot better, but he's being careful. And the problem is what he does is he decides, right, I'm going to do some kettlebell exercises, and he just dives straight into them. And I feel that sometimes he just goes too quickly. He does too much too soon, if you know what I mean. Right, I'm going to stay in this lower part of the picture and do these intertwined pieces before we sort of move up there. And I'm just trying to think about what colour. And I'm actually thinking I quite like this lighter yellow, greeny yellow, sorry, 56 for this one. But because this is quite a pale green, I'm actually just going to try and put it down quite dark across the whole thing. So I'm not going to worry about trying to make some areas lighter. I'm just going to sharpen and some areas darker. And we can come in a little closer. There we go. But there isn't really anything too much to show you. I'm just basically filling it in. Now, I'm not going to do a background on this picture, I don't think. I don't know if it's going to be necessary. We've got some drops, water drops here, which is fun. And so we don't want to colour it like water because they'll disappear. We could make it pink because it's a heart, but I'm not sure it needs it. And why would it be pink? Why would the fish be swimming around in pink? Do you know what I mean? So anyway, we'll see. Going back down to the bottom. I don't know why I like starting at the bottom and working my way up. But we've got all these fish to colour. Now, fish can be interesting. Oh, excuse me, I've got a hiccup. To colour. I have got quite a few fish. In fact, I think I've got a playlist of fish colouring. So you can, or maybe I've got a how I colour fish. I can't remember. So yeah, there are lots of ways to do them really. Sometimes I look up pictures of fish and try and copy, and sometimes I just go for it and do pretty pictures. Sometimes I'm boring and I just make them orange like goldfish. Depends on my mood. Okay, now I'm just looking into this area of coral, and we've got a couple of plants, so I'm going to do those next. I'm going to use number 50 for this one that's sort of like seaweed. Now of course you don't have to colour seaweed green. In fact, I've probably never seen seaweed this colour. It's quite often a very dark purple, sort of aubergine colour, or a very dark green or even brown, but you can just make it however you wish. But yeah, I remember standing on seaweed on a beach as a child, being really freaked out. When it's dried out seaweed, it's just sort of crispy and hard. It's very different, but when it's sort of live, or well, if it's live, but sort of I'm going to use number 38 for these bits here. Can you see? I think this might be a bit of seaweed as well. It's sort of almost jelly-like. It's quite strange, and they have these little bubbles in, and if you pop the bubbles, sometimes some liquid comes out. That can be fun. Number 5. I don't know whether it's whether that's very good for the plant. I need to get into those little bits on the outside of that. I just thought it would be fun to do them in a different colour. Okay, now we're going to work here and here Oh, that's my elbow. Now I'm thinking again, like I was, let's bring that back up for a minute. We've got this sort of darker frame. I'm thinking we need to keep going with that up here. So I'm going to do most of these grassy bits in this same colour. Is that the 38? No, it's the 5. Gosh, I'll remember at some point. So let's just bring you down now. So these grassy bits. Now, as I did with the others, I'm going to make them a little bit more intense at the base and then lighten them up towards the tip, if I can. I'm not going to do this one that looks a bit like lettuce, sea lettuce, but I'm going to do that in a different colour, I think, just because it looks so different. And if we're sort of framing the edge with this, that one's not right on the edge, so it can be a different colour. We've got another piece here, so we'll do that as well in a minute in a different colour. There we go. Yeah, and then we'll do the same on this side. Oh, we've got a goblet over here. That's fun. So I can't remember whether this was Johanna's 3rd, 4th or 5th book. Because I know she had Secret Garden and Enchanted Forest. I'm not sure whether Magical Jungle came next and where Johanna's Christmas came in. Actually, if I look in the back of the book, it will tell me her other titles. It just says Secret Garden and Enchanted Forest, so this was probably her 3rd book. So, it's quite an old one then. It's a nice one though. Well, they all are, to be fair. I think some people got quite scared of this one because of the fine detail in it, and I can quite understand that. I'm going to do the lettucey bit in this colour, the number 50. Again, I'm going to try and fade it into the little blobs. Leaves? I don't know what to call them. So I'm going to make it darker sort of along this edge and a bit lighter coming on those little bits that pop out. Like that. And then we'll do obviously the same on the other side. Oh, we've only got one. Oh, because of our goblet. That's okay. We could do the goblet green to match, but we won't. I'll find a way to do that later. It won't be today. We're sort of concentrating on the greenery today. I thought would be sort of one little step at a time. Now we've got these pieces. I'm just going to bring you down a little bit. Now I'm thinking I would quite like those pieces maybe in this darker number 38 colour. What I'm going to do is take the quite strong colour all the way up the stem, and then for each leaf try and make it a little darker at the base and lighter to the tip. Now I had a little thought just then about this dolphin. Now he's got greenery drawn on him, but I'm wondering whether to not colour that in green, despite me calling it greenery, but maybe make him a blue dolphin and put all the detail in a different shade of blue to his body. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to colour in that greenery today. We'll do that when we colour in the dolphin. So say by the time I've done the greenery, which is what I'm planning on, doing today's video, I think I'll need to go and get a cup of coffee. so I have to stop. Yes, so I had, I was going to tell you about my weird dream that I had. My son thinks it's really weird that I have lots of really vivid dreams, but he says he doesn't get any dreams, but he obviously does, but he just doesn't remember them. But last night I dreamt I was in a big house, not my house, and there were loads of people there, and they were all my children. They're about 20. Oh my God. That's quite a lot of children. They were adopted though, some of them. They weren't, I hadn't given birth to them. Some of them, I couldn't even remember their names. I couldn't see their faces. I can't see faces in my head anyway, so that was probably part of that. So there were these two girls that were teenagers, and they were hanging about, and I couldn't see them. I didn't know what they were called. I knew that they liked a certain sport. It was specific in my dream, so I could have wiped my nose, but I can't remember it now. And so I asked them if they'd watched it, because there was some on the telly, and they were like, yeah. But I don't know. It was first thing in the morning. Everyone was getting up, milling around, wanting breakfast. I went into the kitchen to try and start tidying it up for breakfast. And I was sort of working my way along the worktop, and there were piles of cardboard all folded up neatly, so I put those in the recycling. The sides were all dirty. I was starting to wipe them down, clean things away, and that sort of thing, and just get everything ready for breakfast. And when I got to the tap, or faucet, as you in America call it, a word that we just never use in the UK, I could switch it on and off and get water in and out of it, but the spout part wasn't properly attached. And I said to someone who was standing next to me, what's happened with this? And he said, oh, we tried to change the something on it, and we haven't finished it. I said, oh, can you put it back? And it's like, no, we'd lost a bit, so we can't put it back together again. I was like, oh. So that was very strange. And then I sort of looked across the room. So the kitchen was basically two worktops with cupboards under and sink and stuff, and there were no walls, so you could see across the top of the worktop into the rest of the room, which was rather nice, a very open plan. And I looked across, and there were all these huge windows, but they all had white blinds on them, which were mainly all drawn closed. I'm remembering it was breakfast time, which sort of makes sense. And yeah, then I woke up. So that was interesting. The other day, the day before, yesterday, I dreamt I had a little baby girl who was a toddler, and I was carrying her around, she was clinging onto me. That was, yeah. I always wanted a girl, but I sort of wanted a boy as well, though. How greedy is that? When we had our IVF treatment, I really, really wanted at least one boy. We knew we were having twins after 6 weeks we had a scan at the IVF clinic to make sure because ectopic pregnancies are very common in IVF, they give you an early scan just to check. And luckily everything was good, and they could tell us we had 2. And so right away I was like, I want at least one boy, but a boy and a girl. We thought we had a boy and a girl's name ready, but we did find out that we were having 2 boys, so that was fine. These 2 here I'm going to next, and I'm going to do this colour, the number 50. So they're quite small. I'm not going to try to do anything fancy, I'm just going to fill them in. So yeah, but I sort of wanted a girl, but I didn't want more than 2 children, so that was that. And actually, my friends got a girl, and teenage girls, sort of quite glad in a way that I never had to go through teenage girls. But anyway, right, I'm trying to decipher what's going on at the top here now. Where should we start? Well, we've got these, which look very similar to the ones at the bottom that we did here. So I think I'm going to do those in the same way. So we used the number, we used the number 5 for the outside. So we're going to do that first in the same way and just sort of get going with this bit. And remember, we just blocked it in. Not all of them have got this outline, so I'm just concentrating obviously on the ones that do. I'm thinking I'm going to maybe come in a little bit closer for you. There we go. Split dreams are very odd. Yeah, I was listening to a really interesting podcast yesterday where someone was sort of opening up about their mental health, and it sort of made me think about how mine had changed over the years, that having IVF was a huge thing. Just trying to remember where else I put this colour, but I didn't really. So I'm going to do the centres of them in the number 50. That, you know, we knew that we had, actually our odds were quite high. Our clinic was quite successful, so we had a sort of 50-50 chance, which was, we were very lucky. And because I was okay, that helped apparently. But it was a whole stress, you know. Firstly, can we get pregnant? No. Secondly, can we afford the IVF? Fortunately, yes. Then will it work? Then when it does work, are we gonna go full term? Then I have twins. I'm carrying twins. That's a high risk pregnancy apparently. So I went through the whole pregnancy wanting to not be stressed because I wanted to make sure my babies weren't affected by my stress, but absolutely being petrified at the same time. It was a very tricky time. And then I hated being pregnant. I really, really hated it, but I felt guilty for hating it. This is number 5 because it was what I wanted. I'm doing these grassy bits, by the way. I'm going to try and fade them a little bit to the tip if I can, but some of them was a bit tricky. But I felt sick through my whole pregnancy, and I got so heavy and uncomfortable. I couldn't lie down, I couldn't sleep in a bed. But yeah, I felt guilty for not enjoying it because it was what I wanted. Although what I wanted wasn't to be pregnant, it was to have a baby. They aren't actually the same thing. I can do these ones down here, but and then once I had the babies, then I wanted to make sure that I could look after them, that they were okay. I wrapped them in cotton wool. I was petrified of anything happening to them, you know. It was, tricky. And then no sleep. When you have twins, you get no sleep. Right, let's do these in this 56. So they look like these. So yeah, I worked through. I didn't stop work at all. I took no maternity leave. I worked from home. I was self-employed, so I just continued working. And in a way that really, really helped me because I had something else to think about that wasn't babies. Because I think I would have gone mad, and it made me get up out of bed and go out. Because I was buying and selling second-hand books, I had to go out to the post office to get them posted, and that forced me to go out, and I think that made such a big difference to me. Had I stayed in all the time, I'm going to use number 5 to do this bit down here. That's the wrong one. I don't want 5, I want 38. Sorry, done that wrong. So yeah, I went out, and it meant that I had to get dressed, I had to have a shower, I had to get the babies ready to go out, you know, all that sort of thing, and that really helped me. And that walk, that fresh air, that exercise, change of scenery. They slept while I was out. I mean, it is a real blessing when they sleep if you're in, so you can do jobs. I mean, you're supposed to sleep when they're sleeping, but that never happened. They didn't both sleep at the same time unless they were in the pushchair. But we had a little routine going where I would work in the morning and pack up all my parcels and then take them out for a walk. Number 50 for these ones. And so after lunch, so they would have their lunchtime feed and then go to sleep, have their lunchtime nap. And then I don't think I didn't really work in the afternoons very much. So that was better. I only worked part-time, but still it just kept me sane, I think. Some people, I think, do too much work and it can have the opposite effect for me. I think it just kept me going. Because I know my sister and my mum both suffered from postnatal depression, but I don't think I did. I was just fatigued because I had no sleep, but I didn't feel depressed. Anxious, different thing altogether. Right. Now we have been colouring for quite a long time and I really need to go and get a drink. But we've just got a few bits of greenery left. I'm thinking maybe we'll fit them all in. So had I done just one half of the picture, this would have been a much shorter video. But it means that you can colour along rather than having to... oh, my camera made a weird noise then. Rather than having to sort of play catch up, which might be better. I think it's very personal, isn't it? Whether you prefer to... whoops! Sorry. Whether you prefer to colour along or not. I just need to go a minute, hang on, I'll be back. Right, I'm back, I just popped on a cardigan. Maybe I should keep one in here. I don't know, I can't because I've only got 1 or 2 cardies. I was going to buy another one, but the shop that I got this one from doesn't have the same designs. I wasn't very keen on the ones that they had, unfortunately. But anyway. So my dad's birthday yesterday, I did manage to get hold of him eventually. Well, he phoned me. He had a nice day by all accounts. I'm just trying to remember which colour the I think the centre of these, I think it was number 38. Maybe not, maybe it was 5. I can't really tell. Never mind. I know the outside bits are 56, so I'm going to do those. It doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, he went out for lunch. My niece had her day off uni, and she's at uni in the town where he lives, so she went with him and my mum, and they went to a Thai restaurant, which I think they basically had sweet and sour. But he enjoyed it. It was a little bit different to... They eat out quite a lot. I'm going to do this one as well. We don't have that central piece, but I'm still going to try and make it a little bit darker towards the middle. they eat out a lot, but they normally sort of do pub food, you know, steak and chips, chicken pie chips or whatever it might be. So it was very different to have a Thai meal, rice and veggies or whatever it was they had. Chicken, I think they like the chicken. So yeah, he enjoyed that, so that was good. And my niece, I think, she was with them when he phoned, so she stayed for a while, so that was nice for him too. Fortunately, I used to go and visit them every week, every Tuesday, or they would come to visit me, but once I had the children I couldn't go on public transport because double buggies don't fit on buses or trains. So I couldn't go and see them. They still used to come to see me a bit, but they get worried that I'm always too busy. So I think, oh no, that's the one. I'm looking at this, and I think it's the same as this, which is number 50. So they don't, but I don't think my mum doesn't seem to like necessarily travelling very much anymore. She likes being in her own house. So and they don't like my cooking because I cook vegetarian. They like their meat. I don't know how to cook meat very well. I'm pretty rubbish at cooking meat, I think. So I'm going to use number 5 for these little tiny grasses here. I've got a hair on my hand out. There we go. So these little ones here. Yeah, and on this side, we're almost done, I think. Oh, we have got these grasses here. We'll do these. Through there, intertwined. I think, yeah, the others are loops, so I'm going to do those with this sort of corally bit in a different way. Like that. And then this one. Then we've just got this one left, I think. And I'm going to use the 38 for that one. I think it's the last one, but I'll have a proper look in a minute. So we'll do a darker stem and then just fade the leaves out a little bit towards the tips. And then I think that might be it, and I might be able to go and get a cup of coffee. A second cup already, third. I have one with my breakfast. I had one when I came back from my walk. I do always drink decaf though. Now I'm going to have a look. Let's pull out the camera so you can look as well. Let's have a look. This is all coral. Got fish, more coral. We're not going to do that like that. Got fish, coral. Yeah, I think that's it. So I'm going to leave it there for today. I think you've worked rather hard. So if you followed along, well done. You did got a lot done, and I'm not sure which bit would do. We may do coral. I don't know. It depends how long the different parts take as to what we'll do in the next video. So I'll see. And I've got to have a little thought about colours as well. But whether I keep to a more limited palette or whether I just go a bit mad, I haven't decided yet. So I'll have a think. But for now, thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, please do. And then you'll get a notification when the next video is ready, of this one, and also when my other videos come out too. You can change your notifications so that your if you click the bell, you can opt for how many notifications you get, if any, so that might be helpful for you as well. But thank you very much for watching. Have a really lovely day and happy colouring.